Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today you've handed us, well, a really fascinating and challenging source. We're looking at the wisdom literature of Proverbs, and specifically just one chapter, Proverbs 18.
That's right. It's a very dense chapter, part of the classic Proverbs of Solomon collection.
And our mission here really is to get right to the core of it. We want to pull out some key, actionable wisdom on, well, on some pretty huge topics.
Massive topics. We're talking about the consequences of isolation, the incredible power our words have, and, what it takes to build real, lasting friendships.
And the history here is so important for context. We're talking about wisdom from the 10th century BC. Ancient Israel was, it was literally at the crossroads of empires.
This wasn't philosophy from an ivory tower. This was practical moral advice for navigating everyday life with all its pressures, trade, conflict, everything.
And the text itself gives you a huge clue about what it thinks is most important.
It really does. It's structured using Hebrew parallelism, where ideas are mirrored or contrasted. But what really jumps out is the focus on speech.
Almost half the verses, right?
Yeah, exactly. Out of 24 verses, 11 of them mention the tongue, lips, mouth, or words. It's an overwhelming focus.
So the signal is clear from the get-go. The biggest tool, or maybe the biggest weapon you have, is your mouth.
Absolutely. The writers here understood that your entire destiny can be shaped by what you say and how you say it.
Okay, so if speech is the main event, let's start with what the chapter says happens when you decide to just shut yourself off from the community.
Verse 1 is, well, it's pretty blunt. He who isolates himself pursues selfish desires. He rebels against all sound judgment. So is this talking about someone who's just an introvert, or is it something deeper?
It's definitely deeper. The Hebrew word is parad, which implies a willful separation, a deliberate break from the community.
So it's not about quiet time, it's about rebellion.
Precisely. The idea is that when you cut yourself off from counsel, you get trapped in your own perspective. You're basically choosing to pursue your own agenda, and there's no one there to say, hey, have you thought this through? You become your own echo chamber. And that leads directly to becoming the fool in verse 2, the Kessel.
Right, the morally stubborn person. The wise seek understanding, but the fool?
Well, the fool just loves the sound of his own voice. He just wants to air his opinions.
The goal isn't to learn anything, it's just to perform.
Exactly. And the consequences come fast. Verses 6 and 7 say the fool's mouth brings strife, it invites a beating, and it ultimately becomes a snare to his soul.
His own words set the trap.
It's a perfect feedback loop of self-destruction.
But then the chapter pivots to something maybe more subtle, more insidious: gossip. Verse 8's metaphor is just. It's so perfect. The words of a gossip are like choice morsels.
Choice morsels. We all know that feeling, don't we? That little thrill of getting some juicy, secret information.
It's delicious.
It feels delicious. But the text says those morsels go down into the inmost being. They don't just sit on the surface. They sink in and they corrupt you. It's toxic.
They're like quiet poison.
And it makes the listener just as guilty as the person speaking. Okay, we have to talk about verse 9. This one.
Yep.
This one really stopped me in my tracks. It says, whoever is slothful in his work is brother to him who destroys. It's a shocking comparison.
It is. Because you think of a destroyer as someone actively malicious, a vandal.
Yeah.
But it says laziness, just letting things fall apart. That's the same thing.
It's a moral equivalence. Negligence is just as destructive as malice. The failure to build and maintain is, in effect, tearing something down.
That's a really heavy thought for anyone managing a project or, even raising a family. Just slacking off is an act of destruction.
It is. It says your passivity is an active force for ruin.
So from there, the chapter moves into another huge area of life: security. And it immediately sets up this incredible contrast, what we can call the two towers.
Yes. The first tower in verse 10 is divine security. The name of the Lord is a strong tower, a migdal.
And people back then would have instantly understood that image. We found these towers, right?
Yeah.
Like at Hazor. We have. With walls 20 feet thick. These things were symbols of absolute impenetrable safety. The text even uses a word, zagab, that means to be set up high, totally out of reach.
So real safety is being inaccessible to the threat.
Exactly. But then, verse 11 gives us the second tower, the material illusion. A rich man's wealth is his fortified city.
It's like a high wall in his imagination. That last part is the whole point.
It's everything. The security it offers is purely psychological. It feels safe, it looks safe, but when a real crisis hits a war, a plague, a total collapse, that wall just vanishes.
Like a daydream. A comforting one, but a daydream nonetheless.
While the righteous have access to the real thing, the rich person who trusts only in wealth has an idea of a wall.
And the key to accessing that real tower is humility. Verse 12 is just classic. Pride comes before the fall, the shever, the destruction. But humility gets you honor.
You can't run into that fortress full of your own self-importance. The text is so consistent on this. Self-elevation is always the path to ruin.
Okay, but at the same time, the chapter is realistic about money. It's a bad refuge, but it can be a useful tool. Verse 16 says, a man's gift opens doors for him.
Right, this isn't saying you should bribe people. It's a savvy observation about how influence works.
Is there a historical example of this?
Oh, absolutely. Look at the Amarna letters from that era. You see all these minor kings sending very specific gifts to Pharaoh in Egypt. They're not just being nice, they're trying to get an audience, to make sure their petition is heard.
So a gift or generosity is a way to get a seat at the table.
Exactly. When wealth is a tool to connect, it's effective. When it's a shield to hide behind, it's useless.
That distinction between a tool and a shield is perfect. And it leads us right into the second half of the chapter, which is all about relational wisdom. And rule number 1, verse 13, is maybe the simplest and hardest lesson of all.
Listening.
Listening. He who answers a matter before he hears it, this is folly and disgrace to him.
It's just the ultimate ego check, isn't it? If you're already forming your answer while the other person is still talking, you're not trying to understand. You're just waiting for your turn to perform.
Which makes you a fool. Back to verse 2 again.
You guarantee yourself folly and disgrace. It's that simple.
From there, the chapter makes this incredible statement about our internal life. Verse 14. The spirit of a man can endure his sickness, but who can survive a broken spirit?
That's a huge claim about mental health. It elevates our inner world above our physical body. The ruach, the spirit or life force, it can get you through immense physical pain.
But if that spirit itself breaks...
It's over. There's no coming back from that. It suggests a total collapse of the will to live.
So preserving your spirit, your mental resilience, is the absolute top priority.
Yes, and that's why verse 15 is so important. It says, the discerning heart acquires knowledge, and the wise ear seeks it out. It's an active defense for the spirit.
It's not passive, you have to go get it.
You do. This active search for wisdom is what strengthens that inner core, the ruach, and keeps it from being broken.
And that active posture is also crucial in how we judge things. Verse 17 feels like it could have been written for the internet age. The first to state his case seems right.
Until another comes and cross-examines him.
I mean, that is the foundation of critical thinking.
It is, and it reflects their legal system. Cases were heard at the city gates, in public. We've even found the stone benches where the elders would have sat at places like Dan.
Wow.
So everyone understood you have to hear the other side. The first story is always compelling, but it's never the whole story.
Now, if a legal dispute is hard, the text says a personal one is even harder. Verse 19. The metaphor here is just brutal. An offended brother is harder to win than a fortified city.
And disputes are like the bars of a castle.
It's that tower image again, the Migdal. But this time, it's a fortress you're locked out of.
The walls are up. The relationship has become a fortress of resentment, locked tight. It shows the terrible difficulty of mending a deep personal wound once it's been allowed to fester.
So that brings us right back to the central theme, doesn't it?
Well,
words. Verses 20 and 21 are really the climax of the whole chapter.
It's the harvest. A person is satisfied by the harvest from his lips because life and death are in the power of the tongue.
The power of the tongue.
And that word for power is yod, which also means hand or control. Your tongue has a literal hand in shaping your reality. You speak life, you eat the fruit of life, you speak death.
You eat that too. You harvest what you sow with your mouth.
It's the ultimate principle of accountability.
And the chapter closes by touching on a few key relationships. It mentions that finding a good spouse is a blessing from the Lord, and it points out the social reality that the poor have to plead while the rich could be harsh.
Right.
But it ends with the definition of true friendship.
Right. In verse 24, it warns that having a ton of companions can actually lead to ruin.
Quantity is not quality.
Not at all. But then it says, there is a friend who stays closer than a brother. This is about a loyalty that transcends even family ties. It's a chosen commitment that's incredibly rare and powerful.
So this deep dive into just one chapter has given us, well, a pretty clear blueprint for living. For you, the listener, I think there are a few huge takeaways. First, community and counsel aren't just nice to haves. They're essential. They keep us from fooling ourselves. And second, your words are creating your world right now, so you have to choose to speak life.
Absolutely. And third, don't confuse your comfort with real security. Wealth is a helpful tool, a great servant, but it makes for a terrible, terrible refuge. That high wall in your imagination will not protect you.
And maybe the most practical thing, fix your conflicts. Fix them before those emotional walls go up and become the bars of a castle.
We started by saying the discerning heart acquires knowledge and the wise ear seeks it out. It's an active posture.
And that stands in direct opposition to the fool, who just wants to air his opinions.
Right. And if we connect that back to what we learned about the spirit, the ruach, we know a person can survive sickness, but not a broken spirit. So if you think about our world today, this endless, loud torrent of information, of social media.
Where there's just a constant opportunity to air an opinion without ever acquiring any knowledge.
Exactly. How much harder is it now to actually acquire that discerning insight instead of just adding to all the noise?
And the final challenge is a very modern one.
It is. In an age of infinite deafening chatter, how do you protect your own spirit from being broken by it all? How do you maintain that active, seeking posture to find the quiet wisdom that actually sustains you? That's just as vital now as it was 3,000 years ago.